Hola, buenos días, soy Nico.
Fix it! Fix it! Fix it!
And today we're here to start off another wonderful week's worth of content. Well, yes. If you've noticed, once again, there was not a Nico's quick chat on Monday, but it will pick right back up. Nico, I was actually busy filming for the other platform, and it was a long day, but that's not what you're here for. I want to say this before we get on to the actual topic. I used to do this on Patreon where I did only fans reviews, but I'm going to start doing only scams reviews on the Nico quick chat. Yes, I will still have random topics that I feel like are important and pertain to our community, but I do want to get back to that because I've been getting scammed recently. Nico, I be supporting the girls, I be trying to put money in their wallets, and then they scam me, and I'm going to start putting people on blast. I'm tired of holding back because I used to do this on Patreon, and the Patreon girlies, they love it. I have a few videos on there if you want to go check it out. But now let's get started on the actual content. But before that, if you like this kind of content, make sure to follow me on Patreon at patreon.com/Nicosaesthetics for more exclusive videos, weekly live streams, to be a part of the live streams where we have a multifaceted conversation on varied topics depending on the week. If that sounds interesting to you, definitely tune in. And this week's Patreon exclusive will be actual YouTube beef, because someone who basically said they gained their audience and their traction from my channel then came back to say that I was biting from them and copying them, and people in the comments were essentially clearing it up. But I'll go into deeper detail on Patreon, seeing as how this person consistently name dropping me is actually just them trying to get attention from me making a video, which they even stated in the most recent one. So if that sounds interesting to you, if you want to see me collect someone who is essentially my daughter, I will do that on Patreon, but I really don't have the time to do it on the main channel. Now, for the actual video. Editing Nico. Sorry, I forgot to say last video's comment was essentially saying disassociating during intimacy sounds like a trauma response. And yeah, that's essentially it. Today we're going to be talking about the plight of the masculine bottom. The mass from mass bottoms that feel like they don't have nobody that want them. They feel like essentially the tides have turned. Back in the day, everybody wanted a masculine bottom, a homeboy that they could just lay up with, put one in real quick, then go back to the wife and kids, you know? But nowadays, they want soft ladybugs. They want feminine men. Nico, I'm talking about some YouTuber. I'm just going to call him Ali because he goes by Tripper Plugged, and then Tripper Ali. So I'll just call him Ali. Essentially, Ali came online and went viral on a gay tea blog called Gay Magazine, which I got this information from because honestly, I don't check for masculine men. I feel like I have to re-emphasize this. When I watch YouTube, I watch social commentary. When I watch social commentary, I watch black women. I mean, when I was growing up, I did used to watch gay YouTubers such as Adrian Expression. I watched Zachary Campbell. Who else did I watch? Malibu Dollface. I used to watch queer black people, but nowadays I usually keep my viewing to queer black women because they go deeper into social topics that a lot of men just don't have a firm understanding of, such as Khadijah, such as Kat Black, such as Lovely T. I watch all of them. But I say this to say, I did not know who this man was until recently. I'm probably going to put a timestamp because I kind of ran on with my intro. Basically, he came online to say that he feels that he is no longer able to have a proper connection with a man because he wants his man to be as masculine, if not more masculine, as him. He said that if his partner is not as masculine or more than him, he is not able to properly submit to him. He is not able to properly open up to him. So now that we've gotten a brief synopsis, I'm going to play the video. Mind you, it's 7 minutes long. If that's too long, just skip down to my summary and my commentary on the situation, and then we'll pick up from there.
Life as a masculine bottom may not be exactly what y'all think it is. In the LGBT, LMNOPQRFTYC community, it's different levels of masculinity. You got your ladybugs, that's, I mean, even femininity. It's different levels to that too in this community. It's not one, it's not black and white. You either this or that. You got some people that's more masculine than the ladybugs. You got the ladybugs down here, and then you got, let's say, the Beatles. at the top, you know, and in this community, I would consider myself to be closer to the top or at the top. I wouldn't be a beetle, but you know what I'm saying? Being the bottom allowed me a space where I didn't have to be gangster or hard or rough. I could relax and I could be softer and submissive. And because in order to really enjoy that experience, you gotta let go because you got another man that's paying you. The problem that I came into once I wasn't in a relationship with being a masculine bottom is that I don't find many dudes that I could submit to because my level of masculinity, like I told y'all, there's different levels of masculinity in this community. My level was up here. And once I wasn't in a relationship and I tried to find that, it was hard. You know, I would go out and be these soft dudes. And for me to submit to you, and it's just for me, a lot of y'all have bend over backwards, you know, for a ladybug, whatever. It don't matter. Y'all, as long as it's a big D, you down. But for me, I have to be able to be submissive to you, which means you have to be manly enough. You ain't got to be no thug or gangster, and we gonna get into all that. You have to just be manly enough for me to feel like I could submit to you. So either you have to be masculine on my level or more. And a lot of times it was very hard to find that was on my level of masculinity that I could submit to. So a lot of times I had to dumb down my sexuality to make a lot of people feel comfortable, because if I was just like the gangster rapping trip, I don't sit up and talk about Beyonce and listen to Nicki Minaj, and I'm not that. I mean, I love them, no disrespect to them. I love Beyonce, and Nicki is dope because she a rapper and I love rap. But I'm not that dude. You know, especially back in the day, I was not that dude. So in order for me to find guys that I would let penetrate me, a lot of times I had to go outside of what we seen in the clubs and things like that. Because in the clubs, it was people that was more comfortable with their sexuality. A lot of them was soft to me. And a lot of, you know, ladybugs would come on to me. And I got into a lot of stuff over and always felt like I didn't fit in. Because I would go out and there would be all these queens and stuff like this. And I'm a masculine bottom at the time. You know what I mean? So it's like, I didn't find nobody that I liked. But they would find me attractive because they assumed that I was a top because of my masculinity. So it would be all these, you know, femme dudes coming up to me. Hey, what's up, bro? And I'd be like, bro, get the fuck out my face. Do I look like it? I talk to you? Then they try to, oh, you ain't all that, boy. And then it'll lead to some argument or some fight. And I'm getting dragged out the club for fighting or stealing on somebody. You know, back in the day, I feel like a lot of people portrayed to be masculine when they was around their family and things like that. But they let their hair down and put what's that, when they do that behind the ears, they did that when they got free in the club. Me, it wasn't contrived. It was just who I was. So it wasn't nothing to switch. I was the same way at my mama's house as I was at the club if I went out. You know, I couldn't find dudes, which led me to looking for hookups and looking for DL dudes, because in my mind at the time, DL dudes had the level of masculinity that I could submit to. They had girlfriends, and remember my first dude had a girlfriend and had a baby, so I could relate to that. I could relate to having a dude with a girl and kids and stuff like that. So I would seek DL dudes. I would go on, you know, Chatline or, you know, Craigslist, and I would look for, you know, DL dudes to mess around with. But the problem that came with that is that there's no emotional attachment. They're not available to love, and that's not what I wanted. I didn't just want sex. I wanted somebody that cared for me, somebody to spend time with me. I wanted what I got from my first relationship. But I was seeking that in these deal dudes who had girls at home, and they was just looking for who they. It was hard being a masculine bottom, man, that's want love. That's not a DL dude that don't got girls and things like that. It was times that I felt like I wasn't even wanted at all. And as things changed, the masculine bottom started becoming not a hot thing no more. I mean, everybody say they want it because I think in people's mind, they see the masculine dude, they call it trade and things like that. And they see that as the closest thing they can get to a straight dude. So that's what they like. But it's just a sexual thing. They just want sex with them, and it's just nothing else after that. One time I was at a club, and this really changed my perception on a lot of things. You know, the dude was over there. I thought he was sexy. He was very masculine and this and that. He was over there with some, you know, drag queens or trans women. And, you know, I'm drinking a little bit, you know, having my sip. And I started feeling myself after a while. So I go over there like, what's up, bro? Shit, what you getting into? Like, shit, just chilling. Like, what's up? I'm like, yeah. He like, bro, I'm cool. And me, I'm like, you cool? Like, what you mean you cool? We both masculine. Like, we should be like, what's up? Nah, I don't like you. You don't like me. Nah, you too, bro. I don't want no hard ass. Like, nah, bro. I like trans women, girls. You gotta be soft. I'm like, I felt crushed. Like, damn. Like, really? This what you like? He was like, yeah. And I thought about it after, like, damn, like, it's like what they like. Like, everybody don't want no hard neck, rough dude like me. They want somebody soft and submissive. And a lot of people don't know that you could be that way. I'm just saying, you know.
So as you saw in the video, he basically said that he had been in one relation prior with a man who was DL with a girlfriend and with kids. That this person was masculine enough to make him feel safe and secure in himself to basically unwind and relax and be submissive and gentle and essentially feminine. So he wants a masculine man that is so masculine that it allows him to be gentle and feminine with him. But he then later on went to say that he has a problem because when he would date other masculine gay men, when they would get into community spaces where they felt safe, they would let down their guard, as in they would be hyper masculine in the day-to-day with their family, their coworkers, but when they entered the space of other queer people, they were more expressive, they were more gentle and soft, and he doesn't want that. But he wants somebody that is strong and masculine enough to make him feel safe enough to do exactly that. But not in public, because when you're in public, it's the same energy that you give when you're at home. So he then went into a situation because he said that, unfortunately, since that is the case with a lot of masculine gay men, he has relegated himself to only doing hookups with DL men who have wives, kids, and girlfriends. But the issue is, none of them want to commit. None of them want a secret relationship with him, to nurture him, to care for him, to love him, to make him feel gentle, submissive, and breathable, essentially. So at that point, he is now left at a crossroads, because when he went out to the club, he finally met someone who he perceived as masculine enough to get his attention, someone he perceived as masculine and strong enough that he could be submissive to. So he went up to him and said, hey, bruh, what's good? And homeboy looked him up and down and said, I don't want you. And he said, what do you mean you don't want me? We're both masculine men. We should be in a couple because we're both mask for mask. And he had to break it down to him. I'm not mask for mask. I am a masculine man, but I prefer femininity. I prefer trans women. I prefer feminine beings. And it threw him for an entire loop and actually made him sit down to think about it and go, wow. So some of us aren't pretending. Some of us aren't just settling for feminine men because that's all we can find. Some of y'all really like femininity. And that is where I disconnected because it was him being gagged and baffled that someone genuinely liked femininity and not hyper masculine energy. And I feel like we all need to sit down and have a look around and reassess ourselves, because from what I gathered, he is okay with having a piece of a man, someone who is already in a relationship with a woman who has kids and a secret family and or life, rather than being with somebody that is not hypermasculine. And that's not me saying that mass for mass men have to change their viewpoint and go after feminine men, because he himself even said that there is a spectrum of femininity and masculinity. But if you are to the point in your life as a grown man, because I believe he's at least in his 30s, that you would rather sit down and say, I want a piece of a man that's cheating on somebody else to be with me, rather than someone who will love me proudly and openly, because the one that's cheating in DL is hyper masculine. But he doesn't realize that the reason they are hyper masculine is because they are conforming to heteronormativity, meaning they are trying to be the perceived alpha male that most black men are put on a pedestal to be. So I understand him saying that he's sad, that he's lonely, but we've talked about it on my channel multiple times about the loneliness epidemic, whether it be because of hookup culture and people not knowing how to emotionally connect to others, whether it be gay only recently becoming publicly acceptable, seeing as how a lot of people have not even been on a date before they turn 30. But in this situation, you're purposely harming yourself emotionally because you're restricting your viable romantic options to basically a fairy tale in your head. Because you were lucky, I will say, to find somebody that had a wife and children at home but still wanted a secret relationship with you. But if you chase after majority DL men, 95% of them are just using you to get their rocks off, and that's their entire purpose. Nico, that's what I always tell y'all. When it comes to DL men, you should not be trying to date them. You should be relegating them to a physical interaction if that's what you need to get it done. But at the end of the day, you are putting yourself in danger trying to wife somebody that has an active secret that they're trying to keep. So do I feel bad for Ali? Not necessarily. And I say that because he's willingly putting himself through this turmoil because he's holding other men to an unrealistic standard when he himself is looking for someone to meet that standard so he can be submissive, soft, and feminine. So that's why when people sit down and say searching for masculinity within a partner is usually a feminine trait, that's what we mean. As in, you want somebody that is so hard, that is so stereotypical masculine that they are perceived as straight, that you do not want them to actually be in tune with their emotions. But when you get just that, you're upset that they are not in tune with their emotions and refuse to connect with you on a deeper level than just physical. So now that we've gotten this out of the way, because when feminine men come online and they say, oh my God, I want a masculine partner, y'all always flip the script to say, well, who wants a feminine man? Okay, well, who would want to be with you? But now that it's a masculine bottom coming out and saying, I want a masculine partner, but nobody wants to be with a rough, toughed up dude, now suddenly I'm seeing sympathy for someone wanting a masculine partner. But that's my thing. If all of y'all are mask for mask, if all of y'all want this traditional masculine man that is so close to heteronormativity, why are y'all all settling for a DL man that is not going to connect with you beyond putting it inside of you? If I'm being quite honest. So now that we have this conversation on the floor, we have all the information available. I definitely want to hear your opinions down below. For those who are mask for mask seeking, do you need somebody to be hyper masculine? Do you need them to be traditionally masculine? Are you okay with non-hyper masculine men? Seeing as how most men, yes, there are feminine presenting men, especially within our community, most are on that spectrum, as in some will identify as metro, some will identify as gamer, nerdy, some will identify as athletic. Like it really varies amongst our community. So would you rather have a piece of a man in the shadows rather than being with somebody who is more expressive with their emotions? Because he's essentially saying he would rather just be a side piece than have somebody who also wants to feel safe enough to be soft, who also wants to feel safe enough to be emotional and connect with you. But maybe that's just the way I perceived it. If you perceived what he said differently, drop it down in the comments down below. I want to have an actual discussion on this because we always talk about the plight of the feminine gay man trying to date. But now that we have the perspective of a masculine gay bottom, who everybody seems to think is so masculine and so sought after and so desirable, yet he is having the same issue that feminine men are having. Especially now that he's seeing that most hyper masculine men, they do not want other masculine men. That's why when people say, I'm so masculine, I can't be with a feminine man, you're hunting for masculinity because it is a feminine trait. You're wanting somebody that makes you feel secure enough that you can be emotional and submissive with them, which is what he said verbatim. So I definitely want to hear your opinions down below now that we have both sides of the coin that everybody seems to be going through the same situation over. But yeah, I'll see you next time. And now for a brief yet sincere shout out to this week's Third Eye Tier subscribers, Nathaniel GR and Abu B. Your continued support is greatly appreciated, and thank you once again to everyone who supports the channel. And this week's live stream discussion will be hookups devoid of intimacy, ranging from no kissing to avoiding eye contact. If that sounds interesting to you, definitely join us for the discussion this Thursday. Viral on a Maybe some of us aren't pretending and then settling for gay. So some of us aren't pretending. Some of us aren't just settling for feminine men because that's all we can find. Some of y'all really like femininity. Somebody genuinely like femininity rather than hyper masculinity. That's somebody like words. That someone perceived what he said differently. Definitely drop it down in the. If you perceived what he said different, from masc and I need me a masculine man and I can't be with a feminine man.